on three. 1, 2, 3.
That's too fast.
Oh yeah.
Hey everybody, and
Slow
welcome
down.
to a bonus episode of Indie Film Cafe. I'm your old pal, the Moo Cow. We are not joined by Mr. Moody because he's sick and coughing his head off, but instead we have
Just Jenn.
and
Joe.
Joe.
Oh.
We've got double Joes.
I was wondering if I was going to say I'm just Joe here, but I can't do that. And Joe,
You can do that.
so,
Yep,
yeah.
that's well.
We got the cow and the 3 J's.
There you go.
Maybe
there you go.
we should start our own side gig like the Joe and Joe show.
I should think so. Well, we were supposed to do our season 7 finale here, but Mr. Moody got sick, and then I was putting together this sort of surprise pizza party, but about half the folks didn't show, and so the other folks who did, we decided we're here, we've got food, we might as well watch a movie. And the movie we decided to do, even though we've already done it, is From Hell It Came, because these guys had not seen it.
Yep.
And 1957, it is a classic wandering monster movie where it just picks up the lady and waddles off with it pretty much for no reason.
Emphasis on the wandering.
Doing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this was your first time seeing it, guys, right?
Yep.
Had you guys even heard of it before?
That was the first time I even heard of it.
I feel like I've heard the name.
But I did say one of the scenes I had seen before where the 2 Polynesian men come into the Polynesian men, right?
Yep.
Come into the office and they're like, "We tried to kill Tabanga with a mighty fire, but it didn't help." I'm like, I know I've seen that scene made fun of before.
You know, your delivery was much better than theirs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Was it more convincingly Polynesian?
More convincing, yes. They were more like surfers than Polynesians.
Oh, God.
Dude, we
Yeah.
burned it with a mighty fire.
I know,
But
seriously.
yeah, so that's the only thing. I think that maybe that scene was in either a Mystery Science Theater or that movie It Came from Hollywood. It was something like that because I've seen that scene made fun of
It
before.
waddled from Hollywood very,
Yes,
very
yes.
slowly. I like to tell people between the Tabanga and the robot monster, the hopelessly overbuilt refrigerator box monster, they're 2 of the slowest monsters in movie history.
What about the Creeping Terror? You remember that one?
Creeping Terror is another.
Creeping Terror, the big carpet monster. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
incredibly slow too. Oh, it's amazing.
They
I'll have
did,
to show
I
you guys
think they
that
did that one on It Came from Hollywood too, because I remember Gilda Radner going, "It ate her all up except for her shoes. It doesn't like the shoes."
Doesn't like the shoes.
It pokes his throat.
So, what did you guys think?
It was awful, but like I was saying to Paul a
It's a
minute
certain
ago,
charm.
I kind of liked the story all the way up until the monster happened, and then it just got stupid. But you know, like the whole
Up until then, though, it was educational.
Up to then, it was amazing.
Well, it wasn't amazing.
Shakespearean.
It wasn't amazing, but I liked the whole dynamic of the woman scientist who has her PhD, and the guy's like, "Come on, you know, you just want to get married and live a normal life," and she's like, "I'm a scientist, damn it," you
With a
know,
scarf.
with her scarf, right? But I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting, and like the tribal politics, even though it was like weirdly acted, and none of the people that were supposed to be Polynesian were remotely Polynesian.
Not even close.
I liked when they met. And the four of the natives were standing across the street just staring. I was like, they were having a nice moment. The 2 of them were having a nice moment of getting
And
together.
it's like, well, things have been a little tense around here lately. What do you mean? And then they look over and they're just standing there, like they've been standing there the whole time
For hours. Giving them, you know, the side eye.
Yeah, and it's like she's just now noticing these menacing people looking like, we're going to kill you in your sleep.
She was a 50s female with a guy nearby, so yeah.
Oh yeah, she must have been distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she must have
Even
been.
though she was a scientist.
Right.
So maybe we can take turns and kind of. We'll start with Joe, and we'll kind of go over what happens in this ridiculous movie.
All right.
Well,
how's it start?
In the beginning,
In the beginning, there was the Tabanga.
What was his name? Chemo.
Chemo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. He was being sacrificed,
Which
or
is
not
interesting
sacrificed, he was being-
considering
he was
how
being
much
not
radiation
sacrificed.
plays in this.
He was being killed for betraying and then whatever. I don't know all the details there, but the Steven Seagal lookalike was part of the killing.
Mm-hmm.
He was the chief, right?
He was the second in command, I think.
Well,
He
the
wasn't
chief had just
The
died.
chief had
The
just
chief had
died.
died. One of them wanted to become chief, and so he enlisted the help of the witch doctor
I
to
think it was
poison
the witch doctor was the one
and
who
blame the
decided
son
to go.
because the
Yeah.
son
Yeah.
was in cahoots with the evil Americans.
So
teaching him rock and roll and all that.
They had the infamous voodoo dolls type thing, and they were poking that, which I don't really understand that. And they were actually had him there to do it, and
Yeah.
they sort of killed him for.
Yeah, they basically did voodoo wrong. Yeah.
They killed
Which
him
I don't
and-
know that voodoo was a thing in Polynesia, was
Probably
it?
not.
I don't
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I
No.
think.
Voodoo is actual religion, and it, it says actually African origin. It has nothing to do with the Polynesian.
Yeah.
Islands.
Anyway, so
They got their own culture.
The head of the doll reminded me of Joe Boo from Major League.
He's funny.
It's
So-
true. It's true.
Yeah, so they
Or a
they-
troll doll.
Yeah, there you go. So they kill him, and then they have a big burial sequence, and they bury him in their tribal thing, and supposedly you think that's the end of it for him, but
And in like a trunk standing up like that.
Mm.
they emphasize
Like
a tree.
a 6-foot trunk.
Yes.
Mhm.
And they danced.
They danced.
Danced.
And then they did their drum sounds, which we never saw who this band was that was playing.
Yeah, but there was a lot of drumming going
Yeah,
on
there was-
somewhere.
Yeah, a lot of drumming going on, and then it's like they're obviously so close that they cut to the Americans, and you could hear the drums going off in the background.
And they weren't all Americans because in addition to the one monster that's coming, we have the other monster, which is Mrs. Kilgore.
Oh, the one with the great accent.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Was she supposed to be English or Australian?
English.
Because a couple of times she started sounding, I don't know, she was all over the place.
was-
Her accent was just all over the place. I think I'm overthinking it.
And then she got overly chatty at the end, but
Those blooming natives. Oh my God! When you said is as bad as what is it, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
No, Dick Van Dyke
Dick
and
and
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins, like it's worse.
Yeah, it was worse.
Bad.
And you can always forgive Dick Van Dyke anything because he's Dick Van Dyke and it's
Yeah.
amazing. But you can't forgive her. She was awful.
And her tone varied, and the pitch was all. It was
Yeah.
bizarre.
She was crazy.
But in a way, her character was kind of fun because she's so annoying, and she's not there for any other reason than to be annoying,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of fun. You know, my favorite part is when she faints because that's what women do in the
50s, right?
So they're reviving her and they give her a drink, which is probably a booze of some kind. She takes a sip and then she's like, "Oh, let's not be stingy at a time like this, dearie." And goes glug glug glug. That was great. That was the best scene for me.
Oh, no, that one line with the analyzing the oak tree, that was probably
That was a good one, too.
I think, the best line. But
What was that line exactly? It was funny.
he said something about let's bring the
Oh,
him back,
psychoanalyzed.
from something traumatic with an oak tree.
Yeah,
something like that.
his mother was traumatized by an oak tree or
Yes,
something.
right.
that was
Because there are two scientists, both guys. One of them doesn't want to be on the island anymore, and he's in love with the quote-unquote lady scientist, whom they bring along because of reasons.
because she's a dermatologist.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Well,
yeah.
We don't know what she was
We don't
exactly.
know. They say she was a dermatologist.
yeah,
and she did
because
everything.
one of the
PhD,
quote-unquote natives had a skin disease, and that's why.
No, it was a radiation burn.
Well, and a radiation burn.
Oh, in addition.
In addition.
Oh.
And so they were trying to. She was there to figure that out, and it's just she didn't act like a dermatologist at all. I mean, there was nothing skin related to any of this.
Except for that one lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Did
I mean, I
see
guess it
what
would
the-
make sense to bring in a dermatologist for radiation burns, I guess. Because wasn't that why they were on the
Well,
island?
I was
Was
just gonna
studying
say,
the
do we know
radiation.
Yeah.
There was
What the two
plague.
guys?
There was the dark plague, and that's what was.
What was really
dermatology.
well, that's what really was killing people, but they didn't know that. What they just knew that there had been complaints of unusual deaths on the island, and they were there to investigate to make sure that they weren't getting radiation
And then the
poisoning.
natives were blaming the Americans for that
Right,
because
but it turned out
Americans
it
are
was.
usually the root of all evil. So sure.
But it turned out it was actually plague that was happening, and they didn't have any kind of medication to combat that. They didn't have antibiotics and
It was
whatnot.
Chinese corona. Damn it.
No.
So yeah, so things and stuff happen. The new chick scientist shows up. She's actually not too bad. I didn't really have a problem with her. She was kind of cool. She was actually very cool up to the part where she screams. When, then I like lost all interest in her.
So bad.
It was bad.
She
She sounded like an elderly bird of some kind.
Yeah, more squawk.
It was bad.
Oh my gosh.
Dubbed over the girly scream.
It was like
the British
it was like
lady
if
screamed
B.
for her.
Arthur was trying to impersonate some kind of a wild bird.
If B. Arthur was trying to lay an egg, that would have been more realistic sounding. And if she'd actually succeeded,
Yep.
yeah, it was bad. She was cool until that moment. And I
But
was
she's
like,
also
wow.
the one who really kind of saved the tree or
Mhm.
gave it something to bring it back to
That's a
life.
great.
Yeah.
That's another great moment when they're all running around terrified and like, "Oh, the dog is back from the dead," and they're all, "Oh," and she's like, she's
Oh, yeah.
great big smile on her face.
She's like, "Oh, it's alive! Yay! Well, it's killing the whole village." Oh,
Yeah,
that was unintentional. Sorry.
And then a few minutes later, it goes to kill her, and so obviously the toboggan thing did not have a. It was just out to kill everyone and anything.
It was an
That's
evil
right.
tree.
Mhm.
Not because I mean
It's
it
the root of all evil.
It didn't have a soft spot for the one who said the root. So the her and the doctor though, they go out on like a little picnic thing or something like that. I mean, as you do, I mean, in the middle of the forest and desert, you're wearing sports coats and formal dresses, and some like nice dresses and all that.
Near the
and,
native
and
cemetery.
hiking heels.
Yeah,
Yes.
hiking.
Right, she's in very wide stripes and he's in very, very narrow stripes. It's just very strange.
It must have been a metaphor.
But they stumbled upon the Indian the burial ground, and,
Right.
and they noticed that there was this stumps growing out.
Yeah.
And
Stumpy.
so they go back and they talk about it, and then they check it again, and it's much bigger. It has the face and has the pulse or something.
Oh, it has like a heart, an external heart that beats, and apparently has a circulatory system as well.
Well,
Because
this
there
heart
is.
honestly looks more like an anus, frankly.
Yeah,
That's what it looked
kinda.
like.
Yeah.
Looked like a pulsating anus. I'm sorry. It's true.
It did. It did.
We just weren't going to say that out loud.
Yeah.
You know,
thanks,
I always
Paul.
say the quiet stuff. That's me.
Yeah, I kind of saw that, but didn't necessarily say that.
It is what it is.
Well, I mean, I guess
It was beckoning.
maybe, and I know you guys aren't all Marvel fans, so maybe this is where they got the Groot character from.
Maybe.
Could
I don't know.
be.
I don't know if Groot was the Guardians was before this or not, like the comics, but yeah, because I mean, it's basically a growing tree, but I mean, this one obviously has a barongan or toboggan.
This thing grows in 2 days.
It looks like that. What's the Looney Tunes character? The big orange.
With the hair.
Yes.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
what he was shaped
Oh,
like.
it reminded me a lot of the trees from what's that called? Babes in Toyland. That old movie with Annette Funicello, and they are singing "This is the forest of no return." Yeah.
Well, Paul,
Yeah.
what since you're a connoisseur of these type of costumes and stuff like that, and you were making comments on the legs or something like that. What was going on with the legs and the costume?
So clearly, there's like the top half is some kind of construction, but the lower part was more like a fabric costume with kind of big, huge flared feet, so that the actor could get in there and actually move around, because if it was just a trunk, he wouldn't be able to waddle off, and that's key, is his mobility. And so there's at one point where you can, because we actually watched it on Blu-ray, so the details stand out, and you know me, I can't help but my brain processes details like that, and you can see a part where the legs were flared open just enough so that he could probably get into the costume and move around. And there were pants. He definitely had pants.
Too bad we didn't see a zipper or something. That would have been cool.
Would have been great.
That'll be in the 4K version.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, so Tree has derooted itself. He's wandering around. He's taking his revenge incredibly slowly.
Yep.
And these are all dumb natives, and they don't actually just run away from it, which would be the easiest and obvious thing to do. So instead, they get themselves killed.
Don't they
And
all
then-
fall down?
They basically all fall down or
like
and then
lay
he
there.
just sort of
Or
drops
let
it into the
themselves get cornered really slowly.
Easily.
Because
And-
he really doesn't squeeze people too often, and it just.
The one guy with the spear, and he's like, ah!
And
Like,
he misses
by
him
a mile.
He misses him from like 2 feet away.
By a mile.
Was that the
That was the chief.
Okay, the chief.
Mhm.
No,
So
that was
was
the
the
witch
witch
doctor.
That was the witch
Witch
doctor.
doctor.
Because
Chief
the
was
chief,
the one at the end.
the
Yeah.
chief built or talked about, they built that stuff up about the darts that had the stuff that could kill people. I mean, that never played out in any
They didn't use it on the Tabanga, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Because he threatened to use it on his wife.
Yeah.
Because he had a new girl.
Again, a 50s trope. I mean,
Yep.
even our doctor, when he couldn't wait to get his lady doctor there, was like, oh, I could just kick her teeth in.
Yep.
Like, oh, charming.
Yeah, that was a different
Mhm.
different time when.
To the moon, Alice, bang, zoom.
Yep.
Yeah, and,
Yep.
yeah, that would not be as acceptable today. I mean,
Back-
it shouldn't have been acceptable then.
Back then, it was culturally appropriate to threaten physical violence on your wife.
Well, sometimes it wasn't even threatened. A lot of, I mean, I know that a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
classic Hollywood films. They'd sit there, the guy would smack the girl.
Oh, yeah.
It was nothing. It was dismissed as. And
Well, putting her in her place.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was opening her mouth. God.
now it's like
Smack her.
If you're trying to put somebody in place, male or woman, there's other ways to go about that now,
Right,
and that's the way
right.
it should have been then, obviously. But
So
different
that was pretty cringy. There's some
Mhm.
there are definitely moments of the film that are reflective of the norms and mores of that period. So kind of got to get past that.
Yeah,
So-
apparently
so that
it only took the threat of death and being scared to make the woman give up her science career, and that the very end. So
Yeah, so back then in the 50s, it was commonplace that the male scientists wear their shirts half unbuttoned, and they were all perfectly well groomed. And the subjects out there, the natives, were all perfectly groomed and had like big flowing hair and all that.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
That's common of that time, I guess.
As for the lady doctor, I mean, she was pretty, she was smart,
True.
she was everything you could possibly want until she opened her damn mouth when the monster grabbed her. And then she lost
when she
all
tried to
her
lay the egg,
points.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, her and her character did change, because at first she wasn't really wanting to necessarily. She was with the doctor, the male doctor, but or whatever, scientist. But then she didn't want to be with him like love, and then at the end there was like the big kiss and all.
Mhm.
So she evolved, I guess.
And he's
Yeah.
like, why don't you
Random
just
death.
admit that you want to be with me?
Yeah.
Because they told you no?
Yeah.
it took a waddling tree to make her
Yes,
feel light.
I mean
Yes.
The way
that's
it
what would
usually
get
works.
me. That's what would get me. Yeah.
So he killed all the people he's supposed to kill, and then the natives set a trap for him, and it's a very obvious one, but it doesn't matter. The dumb tree falls into it, so they throw a bunch of torches in there to light him up on fire. That doesn't work. He just gets up like he's like it's nothing.
What did he say? It was flame retardant.
Mm-hmm.
Polyester
Polyester,
suit,
yeah,
tracksuit, right? Yeah.
I mean, because he came out with just a chart. It gave him character, I guess.
Exfoliation.
Yes.
Fire hardened wood. And so after he's done that, he really doesn't have anything else better to do. So that's when he grabs Lady Scientist and does the classic wandering monster with the girl in my arms kind of thing. I don't know what he's thinking about doing. What is he going to do?
Oh, he was going to drop her in the quicksand.
Yeah.
But he doesn't go near the quicksand. He goes
Yes,
to
he
the
does.
water.
No, he went to the quicksand.
He was making
by the
his way
He
there.
was and then he dropped her just before he got there because they were shooting him in the back, and he finally realized, oh, bullets! I'm gonna turn around.
Oh yeah,
and he drops
because the whole time the guy's like, "Whoa! If we could only shoot the knife that's been sitting
We
in
saw
there
that coming.
conveniently
Yeah.
from the beginning."
Yep.
And it's just ignoring him. If they just ignored him, it would have been over. But no, he's like, "Oh yeah, the knife," and then he turns around and allows himself to be shot.
Yep.
And then, boom, yeah, the end.
A whole whopping
Well, then-
71
So the moral
days.
of the story is Tabangas will come back to kill their intended prey, but once they're done, they got nothing better to do. So they'll just wander around and kill indiscriminately. You're welcome. This may come in handy in the future.
That's right. And remember, it's a Tabanga, not a Barranca.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
trailer spells the name of the monster totally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, maybe after he's all done, he'll just plant himself and just live as a regular tree or
oh,
something.
maybe
I mean, it could be.
that's retirement for Tabangas.
Yeah. Oh,
Or maybe he'll get turned into like a rocking chair or something.
there you go.
It's a waste of good wood.
It is.
You know,
It
you
is.
should have used it to carve something.
I
with it.
mean, who wouldn't want a rocking chair with a pulsating anus? I would like one.
And the cutest face you'll ever see in your life. Could you imagine a set of drawers with that face looking at you all the time?
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Well,
I'm speechless.
I'm between this.
Yeah, at least I'm a little bit off to the side.
well, I want to give everybody, a couple minutes to just sort of give us your thoughts about the movie overall. So, Joe, we'll go with you.
I think we've kind of hit on a lot of it, and it was an experience. I had never heard of it. It's an experience. It's a product of its time. It was. There's a lot of cringe, bad. Just is what it is.
But no moral lines were crossed.
Oh no. Well, the pulsating things.
But there were no dogs trying to commit suicide, though.
No, the chickens might have. I don't know. I mean, the chickens just. But no, there was nothing like that. It's just. It is what it is, and I'm glad I saw it. Will I ever watch it again? Only maybe a scene or two if I want to have a good laugh. If it was on Tubi or something, be like, oh, I got to show you this, and just the waddle.
There's a lot of weird scenes, like especially when our lady scientist is taking a shower, and then her quote unquote native girl's just standing there talking to her, watching her.
Yeah, like
that was kind of. It was like, what was her?
Well, she had to be there to turn the water on and off. You see,
yeah.
Because
God forbid she do it herself.
Right, exactly.
I don't know how everybody else, but when I shower, I'm not sitting there like smiling. It's just like a jovial thing while somebody's staring at me. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. Speak for yourself, man.
Oh. To each their own. Huh?
Joe's all about doing it on camera.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, so it's what
for
it
her
is.
OnlyFans. We'll give it away.
Right.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It's one of those type movies. It's fun.
Compared to some of the other things you've seen on this show.
Oh, this had somewhat of a flow to it, so it's better than a lot of stuff I saw. But I mean, they were so well groomed. The story was kind of, and having a villain monster that's not. He really didn't kill that many people in the sense of kill. He sort of just scared them into their own demise. In a lot of ways.
Although, according to the trailer, he was feverish, mad rampage.
And it was a slow waddle.
Yeah,
that's
a
all it
slow
was
waddle
ever.
of death.
And I can't help but think of like one of the movies I kind of like from the early '80s is Swamp Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this sort of has Swamp Thing has maybe got pulled a little bit from this, the idea and stuff like that about. But I know he was coming back to he protected his love. There's none of that in this because actually his love betrayed him. It seems like that.
Oh yeah, she was the first one he went after because she was the direct reason he died. Yeah.
So what number would you give it on our normal scale? Where 1 is the best and 10 is the worst.
I'd probably put it towards the middle, 5.5.
Okay,
somewhere in there.
That's fair.
Not,
all right, Joe.
I'm going to start right off by agreeing. I'll put it in the middle somewhere because it really wasn't like the worst movie I've ever seen at all. Like the storyline was actually cohesive. We knew what was going on, and there was actually some decent character development, and so I didn't think it was a horrible movie actually that much up until the monster, and then it was just like, oh my god. Really?
Well, you love Mrs. Kilgore. You're like, hey, I want to go to Australia and open up a tea shop.
Yeah, I want to be her.
You knew what was going on because they did take the time to give serious exposition.
We had a few exposition dumps. That's
definitely.
true. That were, not the best done, but whatever.
Awkward,
and
very
some
awkward.
extremely long establishing shots that did have some continuity issues with the luggage and stuff. That was kind of fun.
And there was some day for night stuff too.
A lot of day for night stuff. Yep.
That was funny when the guy took off with the luggage and he just reappears with it. Where would you like it?
Yep, and of course we've already mentioned the gender and cultural insensitivities, which I'm sure is typical of the time period. So there's that. But beyond that, I didn't mind the plot line so much. It was kind of interesting with the political intrigue with the American doctors and the natives, and at first they trusted them, and then there was a betrayal, and I don't know, I thought it was kind of interesting. But then, like the monster comes up and he has like a beating heart, anus, whatever it was. And
we prefer to call it heart.
Okay,
right?
heart. Okay,
No,
whatever.
I think you and I
No matter
are
what it looks
wrong.
like.
Heart anus, and and then like the monster, they give it an injection that is supposed to like give it adrenaline or
Formula
like
X237.
7 or something, whatever that was.
So the
And-
dermatologist.
From a dermatologist, right? And
Because God forbid it be topical.
and it wakes up in the middle of the night and like trashes the lab and leaves, and nobody hears anything and wakes up. They come in at 6:00 a.m. on the dot, and they're like, "Why is our office trashed?" Well, really, your bed is right next door. Like, how did you not hear
They
any
established
of this?
that.
Yeah. So, it just got like really stupid when the monster came out, and like everyone's mentioned, the monster couldn't move very fast, and everyone who died just kind of like the one woman fainted in its arms, and then he threw her into the quicksand. So that's on her for being a silly woman in the 50s.
And she betrayed. That was she the one that betrayed.
Yeah, she did,
yeah.
but it's her own stupidity more than anything. And then the one guy who tries to chuck the spear at him, I mean, he just basically pins him up against a tree and humps him a little bit, as is what it looks like, and then he dies. And I'm like, well, how did that kill you exactly? And then the last guy trips over a log, and he's going, ah, and the monster's leaning over, and then we don't see anything. Like, oh, the terror! So yeah, I didn't mind the movie terribly up until, with the caveat of all the, not liking the sexist and racist things, that kind of sucked.
And
But-
remember, this is supposed to be a horror movie. This is supposed to be scaring people.
Right. Yeah, but then the monster comes up, and I'm just like, okay, well, now I'm not enjoying this anymore because this is just so stupid. What do you think?
So what about a number? Gotta give us
Oh,
a number.
I did. I said about the middle of the scale, a 5 or a 5.5.
5.5.
Same.
Okay.
Same. Yep.
All right, just Jen.
I'm following them with the numbers. I like it right in the middle. But I do enjoy the older movies. I do enjoy the cheesiness and all of the 50s sexism and racism. I think that just cracks me up. Absolutely. I think it's hilarious. And with this movie, one of the funniest things I thought, as part of it, lost my train of thought there, is so, like, when the female scientists,
And they make a big
And-
point of saying female scientists
Yep.
every time.
when her and the guy are on their little walking date, and they're going around, they're walking down, and they're like, just having this not romantic time, but you tell us it's very date-like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they made a comment on the cemetery, and they pan over, and there's a cemetery, like right there. So you have this romantic
First
walk
date.
right next to the cemetery, and there were a lot of times like that where like they're talking about something, and then look over, and it's right there.
The four
guys.
child-
Yeah, that cracked me up.
Yep.
Well,
So.
did you like the how they always interacted with each other and kept saying each other's names in the dialogue? It was like okay, this is not normal.
You're a
convention.
profession and this and this and this,
Maybe
and
like-
you're, they would talk about each other's resume.
Yeah,
all
they
the
talk,
time.
and then they would say
Nobody does that.
It'd be like us talking. We'd be like, Paul, I don't know what you think about that, Paul, but Jen, you might have liked it. It's like it's not normal speak, and obviously that was the dialogue.
Make sure you remember their
Dialogue was
names,
bad.
and then the exposition dump to
Exactly.
that's called good filmmaking.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the dialogue is stuff that never would happen in real life. It's just not the way
very
it's done.
clunky.
Yeah, I'm probably going to give it a lot higher number than you guys do. This is more like a 9.5 for me. It's badly done. It's supposed to be a horror movie. It's just awful. I don't like any of the characters. I liked the female
the
scientist.
female scientist.
She
we
was
all like
great
her.
until she,
Ah!
and that killed her for. And then after that, who do I have?
So that's your moral line.
That's my problem. Yes. Just don't.
I like that monkey in the lab after the monster
Yeah,
escaped.
the snake, yeah,
Squawk
yeah.
like an angry dead puppet bird. It's just
That's
she
very
lost
specific.
all her credibility and cool points there. I'm afraid. And then the rest of it was just dumb. Even though the British character was ridiculous and over the top and stupid, I kind of liked her just because she was so annoying to everyone. Mrs. Kilgore.
You know, she reminded me a little bit of the Mae West character in Sextet. Just because she was all about, like, she's clearly an older woman, but she was
with
all
a sex
about
drive.
With a serious sex drive.
Drunk.
A drunk, serious sex drive. Yeah.
Yeah. So she had some color. She had more color than the men did. You know,
Yeah.
the men were pretty bland and boring, frankly, and I just didn't really care about them. So when
even the Polynesian men.
I know.
Yeah.
So when the Tabanga is killing them, I don't feel anything other than good. So yeah, the lady scientists and then maybe the Tabanga itself are really the only ones, and then the chickens. We have these chickens that are hanging around the set for I don't know why.
It's voodoo.
Because it's a village.
No, it's voodoo. It's because chickens feature prominently in voodoo.
But you don't have to have them in every shot.
Don't you know that's what they had to do in Major League to get rid of the curse on Joe Booty. They had to talk about chicken, frying a chicken or killing a chicken. So.
Chickens are cheaper than extras. That's why.
This is true, and well, they acted better anyway.
And they did too. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna give it like a 9. You know,
Oof.
yeah, it's
brutal.
It's not good.
Especially
it's
from
not
you.
good.
I know because it's like. Then we'll watch something like completely, like just over the top, insane with crossing all sort of moral lines. Oh, that's a 2.
I still like it. It's still one of my favorites. I bought it on Blu-ray. I love to show it off to people. But as far as having merits, there's not a lot of merits.
Well, all I can say, Paul, is Paul,
Paul,
Joe, Jenn. All I can say is don't be surprised if you get a weird ring at your doorbell this morning at like 5:30 in the morning and there's a
if they remade that now, the tree monster,
please.
the tree monster would he'd be killing people. He'd be like taking splinters off of them, like stabbing people.
Oh yeah,
throwing,
like in the eye and
throwing
stuff.
You're really branching out. Is that what you're saying?
Instead of casually humping somebody to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
probably.
Yeah, they would really cross the line.
And that's why I love movies like Lost Skeleton Cadaver, which makes fun of all that perfectly and just sort of emulates the whole wandering monster trope.
What's it called?
Lost Skeleton Cadaver. That's next time we get together and Moody's too sick to hang out. Well, I'll show you Lost Skeleton. It's a love letter to these kinds of movies. It's wonderful.
That sounds great.
Was he too sick, or he just knew something like this was coming?
No.
Avoid it.
He was too sick. He bailed on us. He couldn't even talk. He had to call me 3 times to tell me that he couldn't talk, but that's Moody.
Moody, save your voice.
Yeah, that's typical. But yeah, so
Moody, we love you. I'm sorry you're sick.
Sorry you're sick. We ate all the cookies.
Yes, all the cookies. Oh, these were good.
Jen's cookies were good.
These were like epic cookies.
But we were here. We had food. We thought we might as well go ahead and watch a movie. And I was just going to leave it at that. But these guys were like, "Let's do a podcast."
Like we all have phones. Let's record it.
Yeah.
So there you go. Extra content from your putties here at Indie Film Cafe. So go check it out. It's out on Blu-ray now. This is the special archive edition from Warner Brothers.
And you also shared with us that you said this was your normal Saturday morning viewing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in the 70s.
I had my Spider-Man, Smurfs, whatever, Thundercats. In a bowl Transformers, a bowl of
big giant bowl of cereal.
A big giant bowl of cereal. That's the way I remember Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then transitioning to like the wrestling, and then maybe something like this in the afternoon.
And this is what Paul was doing.
This was what Paul was doing.
It was like
doesn't that explain a lot?
Feature double feature, followed by Kung Fu Theater, followed by the Three Stooges, and then cartoons later.
That's pretty much your whole personality wrapped up in a
bundle. That was every Saturday morning from when I was like 6 years old until I was maybe 14.
It does explain.
That does sound kind of fun, though.
It was great. It was the best time of my life.
Why can't life just continue
everybody,
to be like that?
Everybody else was out running around outside. Especially the Gen Xers. They're all talking about being feral.
Yeah.
They were out running around doing stuff. I had my giant bowl of cereal planted in front of the TV, watching stuff like this.
I long for one of those mornings of watching like Bugs Bunny and watching Roadrunner getting in the coyote.
Well, that's just it. You can't turn on the TV and find that anymore. That's gone. It's all been parceled off and sold off, and you have to buy it
But there's
yourself.
stuff on YouTube. We could totally have a cereal party and watch cartoons.
Well,
I am so down with
let's
that.
do
In
it.
our jammies.
There is
Yes!
there is a new streaming channel that's doing something like that with all the older cartoons like that.
Oh,
so,
that's fun.
So that's kind of cool. But I mean, it would be different though, because it'd be now versus then with the old 70s and 80s commercials and stuff like that.
Pluto TV has a whole new station with 90s cartoons.
Oh, really?
Like Rocco's
like
Modern Life.
Oh, yep.
We should do this. We should call it Saturday Morning Cereal Party.
Yes.
And we stick on a monster movie, maybe a couple of cartoons. We all have our favorite cereal, and we sit there and we watch, and then we'll do a review.
That sounds fun. We should do it.
Yeah, we be watching it. It's a thing where the coyote just gets beat up by the Roadrunner out of it, and then we go to something else where one of your picks will be the Roadrunner getting caught by the coyote, and then what happens to the coyote? That's what yours would be.
Never. Well, I mean, people don't give credit for the fact that there's an awful lot of really good, useful philosophy to be taken from the Roadrunner cartoons, because, you know, the perfect thing is when Wile E. Coyote, you know, chases them, and then he goes over a cliff, and he's scrambling like mad to get back, and then he realizes that he can't, and he's just like, and he goes, plummets to the ground.
Yeah, right.
That's a perfect metaphor for us. Because
accept your fate. Yeah.
Accept your fate. There's nothing. Don't worry about the things you.
And by the way, physics isn't
fix.
real.
Just
Yeah.
and just kind of go
Until
with
you
it.
think about it.
Because he doesn't die. He just suffers pain, and then he's back up. And
Yeah.
And I always remember watching this kid. I was like, is he ever going to catch it? But if he did, then it's the end of the show. So I was like, he could never catch him. So,
yeah. Same thing with Tom and Jerry. You can't let the cat catch the mouse, or he's actually gone. And I'm talking about the original, not the original, stupid, crappy ones.
If they talk
best buddies,
that's bad.
Yeah.
If Tom and Jerry's talking, that's bad. The stuff when they were before that was good.
Although I did like the Pipsqueak bird. That was the best one of those.
Oh,
I didn't see that.
Pipsqueak.
Or how about the dog that you can always get the big old bulldog.
Oh yeah.
I didn't really watch much Tom and Jerry. A little bit. I saw a little bit.
Speaking about old, racist, non-cultural, sensitive things.
Yeah, I watch a few of those that come on sometimes, and yeah, there's some stuff in there. It's like,
hey, you know what? I think Bugs Bunny was pretty progressive though, because he was in drag a lot.
Yep.
A lot. I love the classical music stuff. Like especially the
That's where I learned to love it.
The Wagner opera stuff. Kill the rabbit. Oh my God! I love that.
Butt into it and stuff.
But yeah, I mean,
little rabbit.
you couldn't even see it for a long time. But you know, in the '70s, when I was a tiny little kid, they showed them all. Same thing with a lot of the Stooges and a lot of the Little Rascals that had very culturally insensitive stuff. Some of the early Disney movies, Song of the South, they would play that in the '70s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame. It's on the one hand, it's such a terrible movie. On the other hand, it's got great songs, and I hate Disney. That's like my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, it is sad because Zippity Doo-Dah is a great song, but then when you realize
full of great songs.
I used to sing that song all the time as a kid because I never had seen the movie. I had no idea where it came from, and when I saw a clip like on YouTube, I was like,
slaves were happy to be slaves.
Oh my God, I've been singing this my whole life. What is wrong with me? Oh.
So bad.
It's like that with just cartoons, regular movies. I mean, a lot of people love the John Hughes movies of the 80s. But
they're
like,
pretty sexist,
you sit there and watch 16 Candles again. I mean, that's the one that's probably the most extreme. There's a lot going on there that's like, ooh.
Oh yeah, and then you go back and you look at movies even in the 80s and 90s where they do a very broad, awful, terrible gay stereotypes. Where they're obviously there to make fun of them, and it's just incredibly cringeworthy.
Yeah.
It's just so awful.
But as a product of all that, now there's the overreaction, and everything's got to be so politically correct right now, and that's hurting a lot of.
It's hurting comedy.
It's hurting the creativity of today.
We kind of dug our own grave on that one. You know, it's I think it's going to take us a while to find a good balance, because I'd like everybody to be able to laugh and joke about everything, but we've spent too much time, you know.
I mean, it's a different thing when you talk about it and you are part of it, as a part of, you know, self-deprecating humor versus
like all the Jewish jokes Mel Brooks makes.
Yeah, or I'm making you the target of my humor, and you guys think it's funny too because we all don't like them. That's the kind of stuff that people want.
Nowadays,
it's context.
But nowadays they could still make a walking around waddling tree.
Hell yeah.
It's timeless. It's timeless.
We could shoot this next weekend. Come on, Moody. I know you're sick, but I will get in the damn tree suit and waddle around.
I guess the only people that might get upset about that would be what is it?
Greenpeace.
Is it Arbor Day or Greenpeace?
Oh, right.
With the wood and stuff.
The vegetarians might get upset.
I don't, somebody would. But I can just imagine.
So, are you going to play Mrs. Kilgore? Or are you going to play the Lady Doctor?
Nope.
I think you'd be a good Lady Doctor. I think I'll play Mrs. Kilgore.
There you go. You're a Lady
You
Doctor.
just want to do a bad accent.
What kind of booze do I get?
Okay.
We'll
that's
scrub
what
around
that's
that.
the motivation.
Yeah.
The liquid motivation.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to find a scarf then.
I got scars.
Okay, and then
And
we'll have to,
Yeah.
you know,
We have
put
to
you in
pull on my
something.
hiking
I'm
heels.
buttoning my shirt up though. I'm not doing.
Nope, that won't stand. If you can't unbutton at least 3 buttons, you
The
cannot
thing
play
is,
a
you
scientist.
better find
okay?
your razor, because if you're going to play a native, you're going to have to shave your entire body. And if you're playing one of the American scientists, there's no beards or mustaches.
Yeah.
So
You got to commit to this role.
Immerse yourself into the role.
that's right. Unless you want to
Method.
play one of the chickens, I'm afraid.
Oh, I forgot. I changed my mind. I want to be one of the chickens.
I wonder if we could get Steven Seagal to play that one role.
Oh,
That would be
I
fun.
think he would do
That'd
it.
be fun. Yeah.
Let me call him up.
And we got to go, and we got to make sure it's Tabanga and not Baranga.
Baranga.
That just doesn't sound right. No.
Baranga
I think
Monster
everybody
Fort
should just
McGraw.
call him a different name.
There you go.
Just
There you go.
change one letter. Everybody changes
It's
one
like
letter.
telephone. Yeah.
Woodman.
Well, I guess I'll just leave it there for now. And
There.
sorry if I'm being a sap, but
Oh.
it's about time to plant this episode. It's turning into fertilizer. It's getting very shady, and
We're gonna branch out into something
it's a lot
else.
of pulp, and it's time to say goodbye. But thanks you all very much. Here's some extra content from us here at IFC. Hope you guys enjoy it. Go check out the Waddling Tree of Doom here from How It Came, and check it out for yourself. You'll like it, I think. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
It is recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can technologies.
Yes.
All right. Do we need to come over this way a little bit, or?
Oh, probably just a little, but I think we're good.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Do all 4
pretty-
chairs show?
The end of that one doesn't, but I can move it over.
Okay.
All right. Let's move all
It'd be fun.
more.
It's recording, so we'll just have to turn the first minute off.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
think
good.
people would want to watch this? I mean, it's riveting cinema.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Not
I
as
didn't move
exciting
the
as
right way.
I know. You moved way too quickly.
Okay.
too.
That was
Everyone-
way too quick.
All.
You gonna waddle over there and turn it off?
There you go.
He's moving much too fast.
Oh, my legs are split.
Oh